When someone covers a tattoo tied to family, it usually means more than a design change. Brooklyn Beckham's silently removing tributes to his father and siblings sends a clear signal of distance. But at almost the same time, David Beckham posts a tribute that still includes Brooklyn. No conflict, just acknowledgement. So now the story isn't simply a family disagreement. It looks more like a generational shift unfolding publicly, where one side moves forward while the other refuses to fully let go. The tension inside the Beckham family has been building for months, but recently it's become harder to ignore. Brooklyn's 6-page statement didn't leave much doubt. He made it clear reunion isn't something he's chasing right now. Reports say David and Victoria are deeply affected, yet their public posture stays calm, almost deliberately quiet. And when you combine that silence with Brooklyn's increasingly significant moves, this starts to look less like passing drama and more like a lasting shift in how this family functions publicly. Tattoos are usually permanent assertions, which is why changes to them rarely go ignored, especially in a family this public. Brooklyn's anchor tattoo that once carried the word "Dad" now appears covered by neutral shapes and a star, and markings linked to his siblings seem faded or gone altogether. At the same time, the tattoos dedicated to his wife Nicola remain clear and prominent. That contrast creates a visual hierarchy people immediately read into. Spouse at the center, birth family pushed outward. Whether deliberate messaging or personal evolution, symbolic gestures like this tend to shape public perception faster than any formal statement. David Beckham's response has been noticeably calm. No public refutation, no emotional statement, no attempt to intensify. Instead, he posted a silent snapshot of his old football boots, each pair embellished with his children's names, including Brooklyn. It wasn't melodramatic, but the message landed clearly. Whatever the tension, the parental bond hasn't been rewritten on his side. That kind of soft emotional signaling avoids conflict while still communicating attachment, and it tends to reserve public sympathy because it reads as self-respect rather than defensiveness. Now the story shifts from present tension to future suggestions. Reports suggest Brooklyn and Nicola have been discussing adoption alongside plans for a large family. The idea is reportedly framed around privilege, the belief that they can offer a stable life to a child who might not otherwise have one. On the surface, that sounds positive, but inside the context of this family grudge, it introduces a new layer of doubt. If relationships remain tense, questions naturally arise about grandparent access, involvement, and connection down the line. So the narrative stops being just about today's conflict and starts pointing toward long-term costs that could reshape the family dynamic forever. If you're following how this Beckham family story evolves, especially with the adoption angle, make sure you're subscribed because this situation clearly isn't finished yet. Brooklyn's statement repeatedly emphasized peace, privacy, and stepping away from media noise. But in practice, the situation keeps circling back into public view. Tattoo changes get photographed, social posts get analyzed, insider leaks keep surfacing, and each new detail fuels another round of headlines. That's the absurdity of celebrity life. The more you push for privacy, the more scrutiny sometimes follows. At that point, controlling the narrative becomes part of the conflict itself. Not just what's happening inside the family, but who gets to define it publicly. And once that media intensification cycle starts, it rarely shuts down quickly. What we may be seeing now is a classic family power readjustment, just happening under a global spotlight. Marriage often shifts primary loyalty toward a spouse, but in this case the transition looks unusually public. Brooklyn's visible distancing suggests that shift is no longer gradual. It appears settled. Meanwhile, David's measured, non-argumentative posture reads less like resistance and more like disinclined acceptance. The emotional center moves from parental influence to couple autonomy. And when that balance changes in a high-profile family, every small signal gets exaggerated. The result isn't necessarily open conflict. It's a silent redistribution of influence playing out in real time. At this stage, the pattern doesn't point toward quick reunion. It looks more like long-term rearrangement. The tattoo changes, the formal statements, even the adoption discussions, all layered signals suggesting a redefined family dynamic rather than a temporary fallout. David continues projecting connection and openness, while Brooklyn appears focused on building a future that works more independently. That shifts the story from a simple grudge to something broader, a generational readjustment happening in public view. And once a structural change like that settles in, It usually continues longer than anyone initially expects.